Welcome to the Daves of Our Lives, a podcast about things that you didn't need to know. I'm here with my co-host, Dave O.
Thanks, Dave.
That was very sensual.
That's
Sensual.
what we do. We're supposed to.
Well, it's late. This is like the late show.
Took an hour. I can't even talk. It took us an hour to get set up.
Yeah. There was some technical difficulties. We're trying some new things out.
Tried some new things that didn't work.
But in case you don't know, we're not doing this professionally. And we don't know what we're doing. But we're having fun.
No, we know exactly what we're doing.
We're just doing it poorly?
Yeah. No, I have... What was that Chris Pratt quote from Parks and Rec?
I don't know.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well.
Oh. That's a great quote.
Dave, you
So let's
you spoke to me in Russian.
Oh yeah, I spoke to you in Russian.
Say it again.
So this is my favorite poem in Russian. Are you ready for it?
Russian poem.
Russian poem. It goes: Муха-муха на стене, как вы поживаете? Посмотреть, пистолет. Бах-бах-бах. Мухи нет. Now,
I don't know if you know this.
What?
But I don't speak Russian.
Well, neither do I. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really well. So that is a poem, and it translates into fly, fly on the wall. How are you doing? Look, a gun. Bang, bang, bang. No more fly.
It makes a lot of sense. Is that a common way to treat flies in Russia, to deal with flies?
I don't know. It rhymes in Russian.
That means it's true.
That means it's true. All throughout the week, anytime I rhymed, I was like, that's true. So,
Oh, now I want to hear some of these rhymes.
Oh, I can't remember. I didn't write them
Oh,
down.
you need to write them down.
Gosh,
Okay,
darn
next
it.
time.
Okay.
Next
So-
time you rhyme, write it down, and we'll need to see if it's true.
Yeah. I'll write something down.
Okay, sounds good.
So I think that we want to start out with some fact-checking resolution.
Yes.
From last episode.
We need some
There
closure.
was a lot of things said. One Dave's right, one Dave's wrong, but all we know is Dave's always right.
Dave is always right.
Yeah. So which one do you want to start
neither of
with?
us is right. Okay, so the first one that came up was this was at the beginning of last episode, was ampersand.
This ampersand was at one point
ampersand a
the
letter?
27th letter in the alphabet.
Here's what I have from dictionary.com. Johnson & Johnson, Barnes & Noble, Dolce & Gabbana. The ampersand today is used primarily in business names, but that small character was actually once the 27th letter, 27th member of the alphabet.
Member. That's a good way to put it.
It was a member of the alphabet. So fact check, one for Dave. The origin of its name is almost as bizarre as the name itself. I don't know. Do we have time to get into this?
I mean, we could get really deep. I don't know how far we want to go into the ampersand stuff. Like, there's probably other podcasts.
That was
that
was the thing we needed to know. Was it once the 27th member of the alphabet, and we could probably do a whole history of it.
Yeah.
In another episode.
If you guys are interested in us talking about random things and going into more depth, we can do that too.
I mean, those of you that are listening, if you're listening this far, you are interested in random crap.
Yeah. So the other thing was bears hibernating.
No, I got these in order, Dave.
Oh, you got them in order.
He's
organized.
Second fact check.
Second fact check. Okay.
Dave owns more than one shirt. Fact check true.
It's true. It's
That's
a true
two for
classic
Dave.
tee. It's supposed to make my muscles look bigger while my stomach look less fat. But I think I don't have good posture, and I think I'm just fat.
These chairs are not flattering.
They're not flattering. They're fattering. They ain't flattering.
Okay.
That rhymed.
So, check. Okay. You mentioned there are 4 commonwealths in the United States.
Correct.
We looked this up. What are the 4?
Not every colony joined the Union as a state. Some of them are commonwealths, and the reason for it is, my understanding is that originally they thought they'd have a lot more independence. It'd be more of a loose union.
Be
And-
part of the United States, but not like.
Yeah.
So they would have had
You'd-
like a prime minister instead of a governor, like Canada to
I'm
England.
not sure on that far, but they thought that they'd be a commonwealth, which
Okay.
is a term used in Europe.
Sure. Yeah.
So-
like Canada's a commonwealth of Britain, right?
I'm not sure on that. We're gonna have to
Oh,
fact check that
fact
later.
check
Fact
that.
check that next week. We'll
Fact
come back
check
to
that.
what is Canada.
Well, it's back on commonwealths, right? We'll check.
Yeah, so
What
there are
what
four
are the
states.
commonwealths of?
Oh, did you look them
Britain?
up?
I got them right here.
Okay.
The 4 commonwealths of the Commonwealth states in the United States are
Virginia.
Kentucky, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, not Texas.
Okay, and that was the other fact check is Texas the best country in the United States? Is it the only country to join the United States? This one, I think I need to do a little bit more research on it because I know that Texas joined as a state, but they were their own independent country for 9 years. I don't know if there's any other places that joined that were countries. We did discuss Hawaii. We're going to need to look into that a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go with Hawaii did not join. I'm going to go with Hawaii was
Hawaii
conquered.
might have been a commonwealth because the British flag is part of the Hawaii
Really?
flag.
I'm going to go with Hawaii was conquered.
Okay.
And that's different than voluntarily joining.
Okay. So Texas had been an independent country from 1836 to 1845.
Yes, and Texas's capital is taller than the U.S. capital because everything's bigger and better in Texas.
Texas, apparently, according to nationalgeographic.org, Texas had so since its independence on December 29th, 1845, Texas had sought annexation by the U.S. However, the process took nearly 10 years due to political divisions over slavery.
So the Texas situation is interesting. This is a story of immigration gone wrong. So you have 3,000 Mexicans living in Texas.
Immigration gone wrong.
This is where an immigration policy goes wrong. You have 3,000 Mexicans living in Texas. Mexico.
Wait, I thought we weren't a political podcast.
This isn't political. This is just historical.
Okay.
So you
Fair
have
enough. 3,000
Mexicans living in Texas. Mexico's like, hey, we need to get more people in here. So they open the doors up. They say, anyone can come pretty much. 27,000 people from the United States came into Texas.
27,000 people from...
So it was 90% came in that had, I would say, spoke a different language. They had a very different culture. They perceived things very differently.
Okay.
Not a big surprise that they revolted shortly thereafter. Now, the interesting fact that I saw when I was at the Alamo is I thought it would be, like Davy Crockett died at the Alamo. You have like Sam Houston is involved in the revolution.
Right.
These are a bunch of people from the Americas that have very British sounding names. There were Mexicans that died in the Alamo.
Died in the Alamo.
Yeah. So they were ones that were on board with seceding from Mexico.
Okay.
And my ancestor, Davy Crockett, died in the Alamo.
Davy Crockett was your ancestor.
And I went to high school with Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett was your ancestor.
Yeah.
No.
You can fact check that later.
Yeah, fact check.
We can also talk about Richard Pace. He's my ancestor, too. You can look him up on Wikipedia.
Okay.
He's credited with saving Jamestown.
So, all right, let me go back. What do we need to fact check? British Commonwealths.
Yeah, Canada. What is Canada?
British Commonwealths, including Canada, and what is Canada? We don't know what Canada is. Does Canada know what Canada is?
I know what Trump thinks Canada is right now.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about
We
that.
don't need to talk about
We
that.
don't need to talk about that. Okay.
We love
need to-
Canada.
and that was Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett. We can talk about Richard Pace if you want to. But just for clarification with the immigration thing, it's typically very difficult if you have a large influx of immigrants into an area that change the culture really rapidly.
Sure.
So that's why like immigration's very important to the American culture, to the experiment. It shapes things better. But
Yeah.
it's because people come in and we take the best from both and kind of weave it in. You don't have like a hostile takeover of,
Right.
20,000 French Canadians coming into Brigham and taking it over. We get like one French Canadian every like 30 years.
The misbehaving creperie is to die for.
That is true. So one every 30 years.
I'm okay with that. Maybe
Yeah.
I think I could do with the second creperie.
I don't know if I can.
Just so we've got, it's like the south end of historic Maine. We need one on the north end of historic Maine.
We need a bookend historic Maine with
we need at least two
carbohydrates.
creperies. We have one Thai restaurant that's really good. We need a second.
I think an Indian
Or an
restaurant.
Indian restaurant. Or what don't we have? We have the Brigham City Sage House, which is not operating right now, but a sushi restaurant.
We have the sushi restaurant. We have a steak restaurant outside in Perry.
Maddox. That's in Perry,
JD's
though.
kind of like American
Yeah.
cuisine.
Burt's is another one. That's more American.
We have the pizza
cuisine.
place.
We have some really good Mexican restaurants in town.
Yes.
We've got Rubens.
Yes.
We've got Ricardo's.
Filiberto's.
Filiberto's?
Filiberto's. It's on Main Street. The problem
Giacomelli's.
is, Filiberto's for me is if I go drop my daughter off at school, the only way I can make my way back home is through the Filiberto's drive-through.
Interesting.
It's a gravitational thing. It's like the only way to get back to Earth once you go to the moon
that
is
the
like
one
do
that's
the
like
slingshot.
South Main Street?
Yeah, it's like South Main Street.
It's like
I don't have a problem. I could quit at any time, but
Sure
I
you
really
do.
like breakfast
Sure you
burritos
can.
from there.
Oh,
They're awesome.
Yeah. They're great.
Oh, fun fact. Do you know what burrito means in English?
Small burro. Small
Yeah, like
donkey.
little donkey.
Little donkey.
I don't like little donkeys.
Because it's such a big
I know.
meal, it's like eating a small donkey.
It's like eating a small
I could
donkey.
eat, oh man, I could really go for a small donkey right now.
That's the next. Does anybody want any small donkeys
Back
today?
to fact check recap. Back to fact check recap.
Okay.
Bears hibernating.
Yes. So I made the claim that bears don't hibernate in the sense that in the way that we think of hibernation. And what did you find out in researching this, Dave?
So, a few things, right? And I think there's conflicting sources here.
There are conflicting sources.
There's some say that they do they're like, what are they, mega hibernators or ultra hibernators?
Some say they're ultra hibernators, but the ones the more sources that I saw said that they do a light sleep.
Yeah.
And it was
just
called like
a period of reduced activity.
torpor
They
or
don't
something.
eat, drink, urinate, or defecate, according to AI. Length
trust
could
the
be between 2 and 7 months. What was the term that one used?
It was like
Torpor.
torpor is what they do.
Yeah, many animals once thought to hibernate, including bears, really only enter a light sleep state called torpor. That's from nationalforests.org.
Yeah. That's
So-
a .org at the end. That's pretty legit.
Yeah, nationalforest.org. I could make a .org, Dave.
We're gonna talk about social media.
I can
we
make
talk
a
about
.org. Easy enough. Bears hibernate. Conflicting evidence. I don't know that we got closure on that one, but I'm going to call that closure.
I'm gonna go with Dave's right.
Dave wins.
Dave wins.
Another one for Dave. Check. Okay. Hamster lifespan.
Ooh, I don't know on this one.
I do.
You I was like,
you
hamsters
remember
don't
what I
live
said?
forever, and you're like, they live for like 35 years.
Yeah.
Not in your house. In a loving, caring home, hamsters could live
Up to
up to drum roll
3 years. 3 years.
You're only off by 10.
An order of magnitude, Dave.
It's only 10.
10 times.
It's factflation.
I was off by an order of magnitude.
10.
That's not 10 years.
No, by 10. Magnitude
Yeah,
of
by
10.
10 times. Yes,
10 times a
yes.
magnitude of 10.
Yep.
Not 10 years.
Yeah.
No.
So so
Dave's right.
Dave's right. No, neither of us were right on that.
I said they don't live forever.
You're
and
right.
You said
and I
they
said
live.
30, so Dave wins.
I mean, I was thinking a couple years. Like I've never
2 or
had
3
one
years.
live that long.
Yeah, that's like a long lifespan. So
I'm pretty sure that we had some hamsters when Laura and I first got married, and the kids were supposed to give them like food and water, and they slowly started like dying off. We're not sure why, but the last one I'm pretty sure died trying to escape. It died from the fall to find food or water. So no more hamsters for us.
no more hands.
It's not that Laura doesn't care, and it's and she was like, these are your guys' hamsters to take care of. I don't pay attention to the animals that way. Laura just didn't notice. It's an adult ADHD thing.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, well, that was fact check recap.
Okay, we do have one more item as soon as we find it. There was a claim that the foxtail was 14 inches long by me.
Yes.
Dave said 2 feet because, according to him, this is 8 inches.
This is 8 inches.
This is 8 inches. So once we find the foxtail,
Oh yeah, we need to follow up with the foxtail.
next episode, we'll have a recap on the foxtail. The other thing that I made a claim on was that there was an African country that
You did. That's right.
That freed slaves could return to. There's two countries.
Did you get a fact?
Sierra Leone and
So there were 2 countries.
there's 2 countries and Liberia, and they were both established by former slaves so that they
It
could
was
bring
like a
people back.
refuge for
Yeah,
freed slaves to reintegrate into African culture.
reintegrate go back to the motherland.
Okay.
And then the other one,
So Dave
which
wins again.
you asked for a source on, I looked it up, was that the first presidential candidate assassinated in U.S. history was Joseph Smith
I guess
Jr.
I just more was curious where you were getting the information. I wasn't questioning.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But-
So I looked it up a little bit more, and on Snopes it has mixed reviews. And the reason why is they claim that his presidency wasn't legitimate enough. He'd announced it, but it was just a distraction because he was just trying to get interest for their cause.
Did he ever end up on any ballots?
I don't know that he was on any ballots yet, and that's
Is that
the reason
why they
why.
were? Okay.
But Sidney Rigdon was in another state for that political campaign to, I think, establish residency was the reason why. So all intents and purposes, it looked legitimate. Did he think he'd win?
No.
Probably not. But at that point, none of the candidates were listening, and so he did what he felt was best.
It was best for the people.
But there was interestingly, I was watching another podcast, and there was somebody quoting that exact same thing who is an atheist.
Oh, yes. Was that Alex O'Connor?
Alex O'Connor.
Yeah, that was an
Yeah,
interesting
he was
debate.
quoting it too.
So interesting. So interesting. That is... that's not the first atheist or agnostic that has brought up Latter-day Saints as a point of... not to argue the legitimacy of the Latter-day Saint, the restoration.
Just bringing them up.
But as a way to say, if you're accepting these witnesses of Jesus resurrecting, how can you discount these other witnesses of the angel Moroni? Basically to say their claim is just as legitimate as yours.
Yeah, it's interesting logic. It's arguing like an atheist.
Yeah.
is some that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah,
but today we're going to talk about social media.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about social media because it's interesting to me because we didn't necessarily grow up with it, but we have been around the entire time that social media has been around.
Yeah, so for me, like I remember AOL CDs coming out
for hours, time to chat online.
They'd give you a DVD and you could like plug it in your computer and use your phone line and connect
AOL,
to the
Instant
internet.
Messenger.
Little background. My parents met in a computer programming class when they used punch cards.
No way.
Now, for my dad to be in this class, okay, fine. He's a guy. He's a nerd. That's not like
But for your
uncommon.
mom
But
to
from my
be,
mom, my
that's
mom's
super
like a
uncommon.
super nerd.
Yeah.
So, my parents, I grew up in a very tech savvy home. I had a Commodore 64 in my closet when I was like 10 years old as like a hand me down computer. My parents had a Intel 286 in their bedroom, and they'd play King's Quest on it. And so the internet at this point didn't exist to me. It wasn't until I came back to America that like the internet kind of like I got involved in it more.
Okay.
But we play like LAN parties with our friends. That was like is about as that was when you were actually social in person.
Yeah.
But
So like Xbox LAN parties?
no, like computer LAN parties. This is
Oh,
before.
this was before
This
Xbox.
is like with Pentiums. This is like 1995.
So wait, would you like you'd bring like your desktop
Yeah,
computer to somebody's house?
yeah.
What games would you play?
We were big into Descent.
Descent.
So Descent was
I've heard of
the
Descent.
first, I think, truly 3D person shooter.
Okay.
And you're like in mines, and it's very disorienting because you just have to accept the fact that there is no up, there is no down,
okay.
because there's
you're
no
just floating in 3D space.
You're twisting and
Oh
doing
my
stuff.
gosh.
It was great. I also bought a game. Disclaimer: we did not realize what this game
Wait,
had
what's
in
the
it.
disclaimer? You didn't
This
realize
is the disclaimer. We did not know when we bought it. And to this day, I don't think my parents know how bad this game truly was.
what game was it?
Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, 14, 15 years
Oh,
old. We
Duke
went to the
Nukem.
store. We found it. It's like a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
We love the shooter games, right?
Sure.
So we got it, and it was like, wait a second, there's naked ladies in this.
Yeah.
And like swearing. I ended up
Yep.
uncompiling the game and changing the artwork because you could do that.
Yeah.
And so I took out all the naked ladies before my parents realized this game was about a guy that like drank, smoked, and went to strip clubs
Duke
and shot
Nukem.
aliens.
Oh my gosh.
And so after that, we played a modified version. But
Okay.
yeah, so social media for me didn't really begin until like senior year of high school, and it was so
New?
new,
Yeah.
and I don't really
Senior
remember
year
doing
of high
much
school.
with
Wait,
it.
what?
1999, last millennium. That's how old I am.
Last millennium. So you brought first person shooter LAN parties. I remember doing that. The very first time I did that, my dad had a Christmas party, like a family Christmas party. He was in the military, so this was in a skiff, and I don't know, like having experienced that, I don't know how they swung this. We weren't in like the secure area, so this was like the unclassified area. So they had a bunch of unclassified computers that they had Quake 2 loaded on.
Oh, Quake 2 was a great game.
It was so fun. Like we spent, I feel like we spent 3 hours at this Christmas party, because it wasn't just that, but they had like ping pong and pool and foosball and all that.
The classics.
The classics. No, the like physical games, like that you could
Physical
actually-
games. The
right,
classics.
not on the LAN, but the LAN. They just had all the computers up, and it was just like this ongoing Quake 2 first person shooter tournament. It wasn't like actually score; it's just die, respawn, and keep going. So
Yeah, just playing for fun. And
We're
what's
just
really
playing for
great
fun.
about that versus like playing online
yeah,
is you can see each other.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
may not be able to see their screen, but you can look over and you can read facial expressions, and then the banter back and forth is it's different.
We were playing with a bunch of kids that we didn't know.
Yeah, you probably had a great time.
We had an awesome time. I wasn't good at it by any means.
Also, I think people are a lot. Like when you physically go to meet up and you play a multiplayer game together, even if it was at like a computer club,
A little more cordial.
people are a lot different
Yeah.
in person than they are hiding behind a screen.
Or keyboard for that matter.
Yeah, and we can go more into depth on that when we get into social media.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. So what social media was available when you were in the last millennium?
The last millennium, it
Before
was
the turn of the
AOL.
millennium.
I remember getting on and doing, and me and my friends, we started out by pretending to be girls and seeing,
Oh my gosh.
just messing with guys
You're catfishing them.
or catfishing them. I thought it was like I think we made a profile called Social Butterfly,
Oh my gosh.
and
Folks,
without
this is social engineering. That's what this is.
without any like egging them on, invariably it's like, how big are your boobs? Like that's the questions the guys would ask.
Oh my gosh, man.
And this was dial-up internet, so I mean, if you had any pictures,
It would take forever. Yeah, line by line, it would load. Yeah, I guess I never really thought of Instant Messenger as social media.
I mean, that's what it was. It was like you could go into chats. It was like a chat room, and you could go like make a private chat. Or
Oh
you
yeah,
could,
chat
like, just
rooms have
sit
been
there.
around for a while.
Yeah, and so
And
that was
bulletin
kind of
boards
my
and
first.
Dude, I remember the first time I heard about any of that was Ghost Rider. Do you remember Ghost Rider?
The Cartoon Network show, or no, the movie? A movie? Wait,
No,
the Cartoon
it was
Network?
like
I don't know.
it was
I don't know.
it was like a PBS show about this ghost that would write, like spell and help kids solve problems, and only certain kids could see this ghost, and they had pens that they could write, and the ghost would fill in the gaps to help them solve problems. They were like, it was like,
like
Scooby Doo.
It's like the opposite of my dog
you
ate
never
homework.
seen
My
this?
ghost did.
Have you
No.
never seen?
So you have
Ghost
to
Rider?
understand. There's a good gap that 5-7 years in
You
Russia.
were probably in Russia.
There are just things that I missed out on that people are like, "Hey, do you remember this?" I'm like, "No, I don't." Some of it was good to miss. Some of it I miss missing.
Yeah, IMDb has this a 7.8 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, a group of teens solves neighborhood crimes and mysteries in New York with the help of a spirit who can only communicate through writing.
Okay, so
And
that
chat
introduced you to like social media.
And
Like
that
the
introduced me
internet, the
to
beginning
like
of-
chat rooms and bulletin
chat
boards
rooms.
because they had to go on the internet into one of these, onto a bulletin board or into one of these chat rooms to solve the mystery. And Ghost Rider could type out in this chat room. That was one of the ways this ghost could.
So I really
communicate.
think that's kind of the foundation, the grassroots is the chat room
Yeah.
for social media.
Yeah.
Because I do remember my senior year, I made a website. It was entirely Flash based, fully animated. It was
This
awesome.
is like pre Homestar Runner.
This is Homestar Runner was like big. So
Yeah.
this is like it's like Homestar Runner.
Yeah, the same animation
And-
style.
Yeah, same kind of animation style, and I just had like a lot of fun with it. But there was a thing that I could add on the bottom of my page that would link it to other like-minded websites.
Oh,
So it was like you could, and everybody that was in the group, there's like 10 of us, and so you could just like hit the next button and go to the next like-minded website. There wasn't
Okay.
really Facebook and MySpace at this point. I don't know if I don't remember MySpace in '99. I don't know if
no,
it was around.
MySpace didn't come around until 2003.
So
Tom Anderson and Chris DeWolf
yeah,
founded MySpace. And everybody, you remember, when did you actually get on MySpace?
I don't think that I went and made a MySpace. It was probably 2006.
Okay.
And for the sole purpose of publishing the comics that I drew, because
The comics you drew on your mission?
yeah, so I have a lot of.
Oh, man.
It's like
Now we gotta see if that's still around.
They're funny. I can't find it. It's not up anymore. And
Oh.
but anyway, I was like, I'm just gonna put these on here.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
So
fun
like
fact,
2006.
I am a published cartoonist.
Fact check.
You don't have to fact check then. I said so.
Fact check. Dave is a published cartoonist.
Got like I don't know, $70
So-
for each comic.
So 2006, you were on MySpace.
MySpace, and then after that, Facebook.
Yeah. MySpace was very different than what it is now. So I'm I'm trying to think of what I used MySpace for.
I
Just
don't
to-
remember doing anything other than I went on there and I wasn't super impressed with it. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah, it's very basic. I used it to try to connect with girls.
Yes,
Right.
this is.
You remember Hot or Not?
Hot or Not was the origin of Facebook,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I just know it from the Facebook movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Hot or Not was around. That was weird. It's just this was like the start of us trying to get validation online, I think.
So when I first signed up for Facebook, I put in my name,
Yeah.
Dave Matthews. I put no photo, and I make my profile. It was hard to get a photo onto the computer at this time. It wasn't like, we didn't have smartphones and stuff.
Dave Matthews, no photo.
Next thing I know, I'm getting a lot of invites, a lot of friend requests from women in underwear, sexy underwear,
Really?
sexy women.
This was before bots.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't know if they just thought maybe I'm the Dave Matthews because there was no photo.
Did you distinguish yourself at all?
Well, so my wife at the time, she was like, "Oh, decline the request." I'm like, "No, that's so mean. Why would you do that?"
No.
I have a policy. I accept everyone. She's like, "You can't accept this." I'm like, "I don't really want to accept it. I just want to like bust her chops." So I said no to all of them. And then once I had that profile picture up, that kind of died away.
Okay.
But I will tell you something interesting that happened. Social media. This is dark. But
You sure you want to tell it now? Or should we wait till the end? No, go. Tell it.
Go.
I want to hear.
Skip 2 minutes forward if you don't want to hear something dark.
I want to hear this.
Okay, so somebody in my old neighborhood sent me a Facebook friend request.
Okay.
I don't really know the guy. Okay. Seen him a couple times, but he sent me an invite.
So you've seen him in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
You recognize who this person is?
Him and I knew who we were, but we weren't like super close friends or anything. It just kind of felt weird to get this invite. And so I just ignored it. It just piled up. I'm like, I'm not going to accept every single invite
And
I
then
get.
he like comes to your house.
No. A couple years ago, I went and I'm looking through my Facebook, all these invites.
and it's still there?
His is there. And I go, you know what? I wonder what's going on with him.
Did you accept it?
No. I clicked on his profile, and he had a public post on there. And
How old was this post?
This was a couple years old.
Okay.
And he said, by the time you read this, I'll be gone.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm reading through all the comments, and there's no other posts. So I do some internet sleuthing, and he killed himself.
Holy cow, Dave.
So
this is the second episode where you shared a death-related story.
No, I'm sorry. No. He went through a divorce, and it was really hard on him.
Oh
and so I'm like
gosh.
I'm reading through this, and I'd been through a divorce after that, and one of the things I learned from the divorce was I really this sucked. But if there's anything I can do to help anybody who's going through a hard time like that, whether it leads to a divorce or it helps them put their marriage back together, I want to be that person to help them out.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like, not that I don't know that it would have mattered, but at that moment I was like, you know what? I don't care who it is. If they send me a Facebook friend invite, I'm going to say yes, because maybe I see a post and
you can reach out
and I can help.
Yeah.
Because I felt so bad.
Wow, man.
Thinking, I mean, he lived like 2 blocks away from me, going through just like a super rough time. And when I was going through my divorce, I had good friends and like a good safety net.
Yeah.
Like if I was having a hard time, I could go somewhere. And
So
so after that, I was like, you know what? I don't
doesn't
care
matter who it is.
Whoever you are, if you're listening,
Send Dave a friend request. You will have a new friend.
No women in underwear Facebook friend
Make
request,
sure it's
please.
appropriate.
Make sure it's appropriate.
Laura's got to buy off on this.
Yeah, Laura has to buy off on this. But like, I'm like, you know what? If they send it, I'll say yes. And for some people, I mean, they have like 5,000 friends on Facebook.
Sure. Yeah, I think
I'm not that person.
I'm almost to 1,000. How many of those people I actually keep in contact with? I don't know.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice to have the connection so you can connect with them easily. And then
Yeah.
if you check it, I like reading and like seeing people's fun projects or
Yeah.
their kids are getting married or, so
I-
I'm not there to have conversations. Some people get on there to have conversations. I'm there just to consume content, hit a couple likes,
Share our
and
podcast.
share my podcast. Share the podcast. Yes, I share
Yes,
the podcast.
you got to share the podcast.
Shameless
plug for the podcast.
for the podcast, right?
Those are the only posts lately. Are
Yeah,
shorts
that's the
from
only
this.
thing. It's usually like, I think people on Facebook fall into a couple categories. So one, there are people that are posting things political, and they want to fight. They want conversation. They are angry. Then there's people that are posting about their kids. That's all they post about is their kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Then there's people posting about their fitness health journeys. That's all they're posting about is their fitness health journeys. And then there's people that post about like their do-it-yourself projects.
There's more than that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other categories.
Every category of influencer is on Facebook.
That's true.
Every single.
But I would
type
say
of
the vast
influencer.
majority of people I see on
That
Facebook
is another
kind of
thing
fall
that-
into one of those buckets.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad because I wish that it was a more friendly environment where you could have a conversation.
Sure.
It's meant to, it feels like it's more like, I'm going to throw this out here for people to see.
This is my opinion, like it or not.
Yeah. Like which way does the toilet paper go? On the holder, over, under.
Oh, that.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be a fight.
You
Right?
can spark a huge.
I
debate
posted
with
that
just
once just to, I said, now fight. Right. Because I
Was there a lot of engagement on that?
I can't remember. I just thought it was funny. But like I like to share things like, hey, here's something that happened cute with my kids or like my house projects. I'm not going to get on there fight with you about politics.
It's easy to get into that trap. Social media is interesting in that it's not. It's a Times app, but the advent of the influencer, like never in my wildest did I think that people were going to start making money by just posting stuff online.
Well, it's kind of like micro cable channels is the way I look at it. So
Or public access. We
well,
can't get
the
canceled.
available, like never in the history of the world have we had access to information like we do and the ability to connect like we do now.
Right.
And so you look at it and you're like, okay, why am I listening to this influencer? Why am I following this person? And it's because for whatever reason, you like them, that they resonate with you. And there are 7-8 billion people, somewhere in that range, on the world. A lot of them, half of them, I think, have access to the internet at this point. And so for you to make money as an influencer, you get, 100,000 people following you? You can make money.
Yeah, you can
And-
make a little bit with that kind of following, but
Yeah, maybe
you
a
gotta have,
million
like,
or whatever. But when you
millions.
start running the numbers, it's like, wait a second. If you're their cup of tea, they have that option. But 50, 60 years ago, it was like Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
Like you have Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters.
Yes. I will not follow suit with your Barbara Walters.
She did have a unique.
She did have a unique, and so you didn't have as many options, and now you have unlimited options.
Yeah.
There are people in all sorts of ranges. Look, us
Right.
doing our little podcast, we're having fun.
Yeah.
And there's people I know that make a living off of it.
And we have a neighbor.
Yeah, you know the same person.
Yes.
We will not say the name.
Well, she's huge. People know who she is.
I know, but we can't say her name. Remember you said dox? What was it, dox? We can't dox.
Yeah, but I don't.
We have to wait. We have to wait until she notices that we're worth her time, and then
no,
she can
here's
come
what
on
we'll
our
do.
podcast.
Here's what we'll do.
We gotta
We'll
like
tag her,
yeah.
and will just use her following to get views.
Total mooches.
Oh my gosh. Like the way you can manipulate the algorithm to get views. It's ridiculous. And here's the other thing I wanted to say. Like people they go viral, quote unquote,
Yeah.
right? But that term is real, right? They do go viral. And it spreads by doing things that are controversial, by commenting on things that are controversial. If you express a strong opinion about any topic that could be political, I'm going to say political, right?
A lot of topics are politicized.
Yes.
Even if they shouldn't be.
Right.
But
so you have a strong opinion about anything, whether it be food, fitness, friends, faces, it doesn't matter. If it's a controversial opinion, you can go viral.
So
I don't want to go viral.
Yeah, we don't want to go
something.
viral.
I'd be fine going viral, but I don't care.
Okay.
But I don't want to do it because I'm saying something controversial.
You don't want to do it something that is hurtful.
I don't even.
Look, is the toilet paper thing controversial? Yeah, but is it hurtful? No.
Someone's going to feel slighted or hurt or offended by anything. It doesn't matter.
That's true.
Someone's going to get offended. I'm sure somebody was offended by the hamster story.
The hamsters were.
Yeah, somebody was offended by that. I don't care about offending people. That's not true.
You do care about offending people.
I don't intentionally want to offend
anybody. You don't
anybody.
want to intentionally offend people.
Yeah. But I don't want to get popular because I've offended somebody.
You don't
Does
want
that make sense?
to sensationalize, like, just you don't want to. What is the phrase for that? It's sensationalized. It's just saying things to get attention.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting is like all the random niches that people find. There's a guy that I see on Shorts that bakes old recipes.
Yeah, I love that guy's content.
Yeah, and it's hilarious because he eats it and he's like, "This is freaking delicious."
Yeah.
There's somebody, a husband-wife combo that play board games, like little games together.
Oh,
they're not like super complicated ones. A lot of them have dexterity involved and magnets because magnets are the coolest. And they sit there and play, and they do that. There's all sorts of things out there that it used to be that maybe there's only 10,000 people, 100,000 people that like something. But now you can cater to such a big audience. You might find more people that are interested in that type of thing.
Possibly.
The example that I think of is on Shark Tank. This lady came in on Shark Tank. I'll never forget it. She had a prosthetic tongue to lick your cat.
On Shark Tank to lick your cat?
Yeah, you stick it on you stick it in your mouth and then you lick your cat with this tongue. And the texture on it was supposed to be good, that the cat would like it. And I'm like, okay. 50 years ago, this product doesn't exist. It isn't because there aren't people that wouldn't buy it. It's that nobody's going to take the risk to run advertisements, stock it on their shelves.
Yeah.
But now, you can throw crazy stuff like this out, do Kickstarters, and with very little investment, you can find out, oh man, there's a million freaks out there that want to lick their cat.
That's true.
There are a million freaks out there that want to lick their cat and they want to put it online.
Yeah. Here's an example that I just thought of. Lindsay Sterling. You familiar with how she got started?
Zelda.
No.
So didn't she do like a Zelda themed dance?
She did at one point. But, so that was before.
But
that was after.
She went on and they told her she would never make it
America's
anywhere.
Got Talent, and like she got all kinds of like critical feedback. Right? And here's what I remember. I think it was Howie Mandel said that she's good at dancing and good at violin, but she's not great at either.
Well, and it's not enough, he thought, that it would pull in enough people. But
she went on social media. She started a YouTube channel.
Isn't she getting close to getting like a residency in Vegas? I think that's her goal.
I think she's either Vegas or Los Angeles, something like that. But she's performing all the time and has a huge following because she started on social media. She performed at South Ogden Days.
Okay.
Years ago. I want to say it was like 2009 or 2010. And Sheena and I went, and I saw her performance, and I was like, this is weird.
It is weird.
I'm like, this is not going anywhere.
Do you
I
know
had the
what?
same mentality as Howie Mandel. I'm like, you're not doing anything with this
It might
lady.
not be your cup of tea.
It's not.
But that's okay.
But here's what I'll tell
there
you.
are people that like it.
And here's what I'll tell you. I took my oldest daughter a couple of years to go to her tour at USANA.
And your daughter,
Loves it.
the one with the foxtail.
The one with the foxtail.
Hmm.
She plays the violin, or she did play the violin, and she was inspired by Lindsey Sterling.
Okay, fun story. My brother, when I was single, he was like, Lindsay Sterling's single. This was like 12 years ago. And I'm like, so
still
is Kate
single.
Beckinsale.
Yeah,
Like, she
right.
broke up with her husband. Let's just name all the people that are out of...
Let's just name all the people that are single.
All the people that are single that are
And
out
let's-
of my
Yeah, yeah.
dating.
Not only out of my league, but
Out
I
of my
have
league.
no connection
I
with
have no
whatsoever.
connection at all. So yeah, no, I see that with Lindsey Sterling.
Yeah.
I also see that with a little known artist like Taylor Swift.
A
I mean, she has a
little-known
couple
artist.
people that follow.
Definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but has a huge following.
But it has a huge, even bigger.
Huge following.
We were talking about the Super Bowl, and my wife's like, "What do you think's going to happen?" I'm like, well,
Chiefs are going to win.
I said,
Because-
according to an insider, Taylor's really frustrated with Travis Kelce getting all the attention, and she wants him to get injured and lose and quit football so that he can pay attention to her. So the script is going to be like this, according to
script.
an insider.
Yeah.
Like, Taylor's feeling very frustrated, and she's like, that's exactly how they write those articles. That's the truth, man. According to an insider. Shady journalism right there.
Shady clickbait.
Clickbait. Yeah.
It's clickbait. Another term I never thought I would ever hear is clickbait.
There's a lot of phrases that have come from social media,
Yeah.
from the internet.
Well-
So do you have any fun stories? Anything fun that happened with you with social
Oh
media?
yeah.
in your
So
life?
here's a fun one.
We can go to something more lighthearted.
Here's a fun one. So you remember back 2008 when you could post on someone's wall. You know, Facebook had pokes at the very beginning, and now they're back.
Okay.
And I have been poked recently.
Was it a consensual poking?
They're not consensual. That's the whole.
Okay,
that's
so
the whole
you don't
point.
have. You can just poke.
You being on Facebook, agreeing to their terms and services, you've given the consent to be poked on Facebook.
Feels like a sketchy situation.
Look, you sign up for Facebook, you agree to be poked. That is the.
I don't know if they agree to be poked. Or they agree to the possibility of pokings.
There's
Some
the
people
potential
sit there
for
at home hoping to be poked.
yeah.
Doesn't
and
mean you're gonna
That
get
was
poked.
why I joined Facebook, was to get poked and to do some poking. I think we're going down the rails here. Hey, okay. So you used to have a wall. You didn't have like a news feed.
Okay. Yeah, you have the wall.
You would go to your friend's wall and you would type and post on their wall.
Okay.
Like if you went to their house physically and just wrote on their wall.
Okay.
Right. Dave was here.
Okay.
So after my divorce, I was pretty quick to get back out there.
Yeah.
And I went to the Ogden LDS Institute's Halloween dance,
Okay.
ran into Sheena there.
Okay.
We had known each other previously because we were both in the same scholarship program in our freshman year at college. And we never really connected, right? We didn't try to date. I got married, and then I didn't have contact.
Don't go too far into the story because I want to save it for the future episodes.
Oh,
where we
okay.
talk
But
about
this
how
is
we meet our
Facebook is
wives.
how she connected with me and reached out to me.
Okay.
She posted her phone number on my wall
Were you
for
married at the
all
time?
of my friends to see.
All of your friends to see.
And I was like, yes, I am absolutely going to get a hold of you, but I'm going to delete your number off of this so that not everybody has it.
Yeah. Because you're
But
jealous.
back in that day, no, not because I was jealous, because I was concerned that people were going to have her phone number that she didn't consent to give it to.
Did she not realize everybody could see it?
I
or were you just
don't think she
concerned
cared.
that,
I think
that
she just wanted
somebody else would?
I think she was like,
encroach on
that
your-
Dave is so hot. I definitely need to give him my phone number somehow.
There have been women that have said, Dave is so hot, I need to give him his phone number. In the history of the world, that has been
In
said.
the
Fact
history of
check
the
me on
world,
that. I don't have any proof of it.
Many
on my end.
women have said that Dave is hot. I need to give him my phone number.
We will find that Dave one day.
One day. Dave, if you're out there, get a hold of us. We want to interview you. Yeah, so that was a fun, good story that came out of social media. This is the only great story that I have that have come out of social media.
Okay.
Other things were little like so dumb. There was one girl I was friends with in college. I was like, hey, we should like say that we're married on Facebook and see what the reactions are.
Yeah.
So we like tagged each other in a relationship, married, whatever it was. And people were like, what? When did this happen? I don't even know this person.
Did you guys like wait a week and then post a picture of a baby?
No.
You didn't have
That would've
AI.
been funny. Oh, that's another thing that was funny. Sheena, when she and I started dating,
Yeah.
she did, those like quiz things where you could upload a picture of each of you and see what your
And
baby's
see what your
supposed to look
baby-
like.
do your
Oh my
babies
gosh,
look-
it was so terrible. It was the worst looking baby ever.
Do any of your? I can't.
No,
I guess
none
you
of
can't answer this.
none of them look like that.
After you said it was the worst look, do any of your children?
None of them ended up.
Okay,
looking like
I
that
did one of
picture.
those quizzes to see
Did you?
what famous person I looked like.
Oh, I've done those.
Okay, I want you to guess who I looked like. Now, mind you, this is like 15 years ago. I'm skinnier.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Wow.
No,
How do you say you're hot without saying you're hot? Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
I mean, Brad Pitt. I'm not saying
You
I'm
should be
attracted
flattered,
to him. I'm
Dave.
just saying that like Brad Pitt seems like a good-looking guy.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's a good looking guy.
Bow Wow. That's who it matched me up with. Was Bow Wow.
Bow Wow. I can't remember who I got matched.
I
up
don't
with,
know if it knew
but
that I was white.
Doesn't... that seems inaccurate.
I think some of the facial features might be there. I don't know if it took.
So the
skin-
structure of your
yeah,
face
maybe
might
like
be.
the structure
Skin
of my
color,
face.
not so much.
I don't know if it knew skin color, but yeah.
So you're saying that this celebrity doppelganger match was colorblind?
Yeah.
It's pretty progressive.
Did you ever do the ones on Facebook where it's like, "Hey, what do you look like as a woman? Like as an opposite gender?"
No, I actually didn't.
Okay, so my brother does this, Uncle Slacker.
Uncle Slacker story.
He does this.
Welcome back, Uncle Slacker.
And I don't know if he picked like the worst AI for it, but it just looks like him with long hair. It's not flattering.
It's yeah.
Jacob, you're an okay looking dude.
You're not a good.
You're not a
woman.
good looking chick.
Sorry, buddy.
So I
Sorry,
go
not
in there.
sorry.
I grab my wedding photo from 10 years ago. I throw it in there. I'm hot, dude. Like, I show it to Laura, and she's all, dang, holy crap. And I'm like, this thing is very generous. I don't know how to say this without sounding too weird, but I'm thinking to myself, if I was flipping through like a dating profile,
You would swipe
would I
right
have
on yourself.
swiped? And I'm like, I would have. I would have. I was hot, blonde, no beard.
Did you know that Facebook has a dating site? Like, you can use Facebook to connect with people that are out there looking for
Laura
dating.
and I met on a dating app that was connected through Facebook.
Sure, yeah.
It was like a sub app or something. We met through something like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was nice because you could see people's Facebook profiles and things like that.
Yeah.
And you had a little bit more context of who they were
yeah,
versus being totally disconnected
yeah,
on an independent app.
yeah. It's nice to get that history. I think that's kind of an unfortunate thing about Facebook or social media in general. Like, if you have a public profile, which my Facebook is not, but my Instagrams are. But there's your entire history is out there online. Like, you've got this digital paper.
I
you have
had
a digital data trail.
13, 12 years ago, I interviewed for a job, and the guy called me up and was like, hey, I couldn't find anything about you online. I'm like, well, the benefits of being Dave Matthews. There are a lot of pages about another Dave Matthews before you're going to find me. But I thought about that, like, yeah, you can go through and there's this whole history.
Yeah.
We went and bought something on Facebook. No, somebody came and bought something from us on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
And Laura always checks, like, who is this person? You're kind of looking at their picture. Do they look like they're going to come over and rob me?
Yeah, you want to check
you're
out.
Just kind of judging.
You want to see if they have previous reviews.
Do they have previous reviews?
From people
do they
that
look,
have sold
do they
or
look
bought?
like nice people?
Yeah.
And she pulls this person up, and this nice lady, fun haircut. Laura's like, oh, check out her haircut. She's like going through the profile. Husband's bald with a beard. I'm like, we could be friends with this guy. I'm like, that's a good looking dude. She came over and they're like best friends, like, oh, they're like
Really?
talking. And she's like, I Facebook stalked you. And she's like, I Facebook
stalked
stalked you too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like,
Yeah. That's funny. That's nice that you can do that. And it's become a social norm to Facebook stalk somebody.
I don't know if it's socially acceptable, but it's become the norm.
I think it's becoming.
I think people know that if they post on Facebook,
you
people are going to look. They're going to make comments. They're going to judge you. Off
I don't know
of
if
it.
people do know. Have you looked at the Brigham City community page?
No, but we should.
I got it pulled up right now.
Okay, pull that up.
People just post stuff up. I'm gonna pick some anonymous ones.
Okay. Is this the one where people put like classifieds up, like, hey, I'm looking for a job?
Yeah, look for a rental, at least 2-bed, 1.5 bath, budget around $1,600, needing somewhere willing to work with bad credit.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So there's other stuff. People post photos for stuff for sale, but is this Kent's Stokes Marketplace? Great deal on Idaho made butter, 18-pound case for $60. And someone's like, "Is this a scam?"
No, dude, that might be a pretty good deal. And you can,
So,
I think you can freeze butter.
The community page, I think, is pretty mild.
How about this?
But the news and info page,
let's look at the page, and then the next time we meet, let's talk about the ones that we think are interesting. Like, screenshot them, and then let's talk about them live.
you want to talk about?
Do you have one you want to talk about right now?
Anonymous person. So the news and info, I think, is a little bit more spicy, right? Whoever was drinking in the Dairy Queen inside Maverick, hope, period. We got your license plate number, period. Good luck. And I don't like, what are you?
It's like the town square, like we're shaming people.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Maybe he's a passenger, not a driver. Wait, he drank his soda in there? I didn't know that wasn't allowed.
Okay, I have a serious topic.
Why post here? Call dispatch. Why are you posting here? Take care of the issue. This isn't a police station, ma'am. No reason to announce your crime scene. You must need attention.
Honestly, every single time I see anything, like I read an article, I go to the comments because I think the comments are hilarious.
The comments are great.
Okay, so I have something serious, but it's not like a downer serious. So 2 things.
Okay.
There is a YouTuber. He has a channel called Veritasium. I think he's great.
Yeah.
Super smart dude.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. He posted something about social media.
Okay.
And he said that when the internet came out, everybody thought it would bring people together. That this would like help bring walls down. And it didn't work.
No, it definitely didn't do that. It put more walls up, I think.
And the reason why is if you're listening to me and Dave right now, it's probably because you think that, hey, they think similar to me.
Sure.
There's some shared value and interests.
It's increased confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
So I had an app called Vine long time ago.
Oh, Vine.
Yeah.
That's short form content original.
and it would just give me the articles, and I could tell it I'm interested in everything.
Yeah.
And if I could tell it I wanted to auto like AI kind of adjust based off
Sure.
of my reading preferences.
Yeah.
Or I could tell it I do not care, do not do that, just keep giving me random. I loved the random.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't click on the article, I'm like, well, I know a little bit about like Taylor Swift's love life. I'm not clicking on the article, but then if somebody says something,
I got
to
the
me,
headlines.
I know at least the headline.
Yeah.
And so it forced me to be exposed to things that I might not normally be exposed to.
Is
I
there
really
a way?
liked that.
What's that?
I really liked that.
Is
I
there a
liked
way
it.
to train like the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok algorithm to feed you random?
I don't know if there's a feature for that, but they should put it on. The problem is that people will say, "Well, I like everything. Give me everything." But the fact of the matter is they don't like everything. Don't give
They
them
don't
everything.
want-
What
they don't
I
want
would like
everything.
is for YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, these short form contents, I would like them to have a feature that says, "Give me random. Do not let me skip the video."
Do not let. I don't know if I like that feature.
I'm saying you could turn it on or off.
No. I like.
I'm just saying
hang
I
on.
want that
I
mode
like-
because
I like that mode.
I want that
I like that
mode as
idea.
a feature because sometimes I want to get exposed to things that I normally wouldn't go
Yeah,
click
and
on.
I think you're onto something there. What I don't like is the idea that I can't skip the video. I want to be able to skip the video, but I
you don't want it to
necessarily.
change your algorithm.
I don't want that to change the algorithm. If I want random,
Okay,
keep
so
feeding
some
me
sort
random.
of like hybrid.
But if I get through the video and I'm like, let me go to the next one. Let me just skip the next one. Right? If I'm in a time zap on social media, I don't want to waste my time, my
you don't want to
discretionary
be
time.
forced. You don't want to be
Right.
forced to
I
watch
don't want
the
to be
video.
forced into a video that I'm not into.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
So the Veritasium, you can go and watch this video, but basically
I've seen
what I
it.
got from it was, look, let's say that somebody's a neo-Nazi.
Okay.
There might be one neo-Nazi in Brigham City. Without the internet,
There might be one in Brigham City.
I don't know. I'm gonna say numbers.
I would wager that there may be more than one.
I don't know how we're gonna fact check this, and I don't really want to dig into
Hey,
it.
if you're a neo-Nazi, can you
If you're
just
a
comment?
neo-Nazi living
Let
in
us
Brigham
know.
City, let us know. Yeah.
That way we can. We're not going to tell you not to be. We just want to know who's there.
we
so
just want to know how many.
Yes.
How many of you are out there? So before the internet, there may be a person who is an actual neo-Nazi, but there's probably a lot of people that may have tendencies if they got brought into that community. And so now the internet's connecting you with a bunch of people across the country that are by far a minority.
Yeah.
And confirmation bias, you start believing that the way you think is right because you found other people.
Yeah.
And I think that can be dangerous. But the thing is that that's where the money is in the internet. The algorithms are giving people what they want because
Yeah.
what they want means that they'll follow. And it isn't necessarily what's good for people. It's what you can get them to watch and get them to get ad money from.
Yeah.
So I firmly believe in freedom of speech. People should have the choice to do these things. It is concerning to me that it did not end the way they thought it would.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get there without taking the money aspect out of what social media is.
There's no way to take the money aspect out of it. There's no way to do that.
Yeah. And I would love to have more open discourse and meeting with people that think differently than me and have different perspectives.
I think we need some kind of like decentralized social media platform. There's really, again, there's not really a way that I can think of to do it without taking the money out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like blockchaining, you can decentralize.
So we have like Bitcoin of
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah. Like a blockchain for social media.
Patent pending.
Patent pending.
Patent pending.
We're going to call this R1 social media.
Sauce your social.
Sauce your socials. with our new
Such
blockchain.
socials. You made
So
it plural.
yeah, so you get nodes, right? We get
Yeah.
nodes for social media, and I don't know if someone's tried this already. Someone probably has already
Probably
tried it.
have.
They probably already have. But then you get, your ledger. So there's a ledger, and so we have to solve the blockchain to be able to connect with people. That can be very resource intensive. So you're not like necessarily taking the money out of it, but you're decentralizing the control.
I think that the benefit to that is the concern of litigation is so strong. So like a lot of social media platforms are censoring things because they're worried that if they allow this content on here now, they could be held liable.
People are going to be radicalized, and they're going to blame it on the socials.
Well, like on YouTube, you can't say certain words, so a lot of people say pew pew.
Right.
And it's like, we all know what you're talking about with your pew pew, right?
Yeah.
But it's because it's being censored. They don't want to. It's the litigation.
It's being censored because they can't monetize it if they say the other word.
No, they can monetize it still.
They can't monetize it through YouTube's terms and conditions.
No. YouTube is the one making that decision.
Right.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why the people are saying it. I understand why YouTube's doing it. But it's because of litigation. It's not just advertising dollars. Trust me, there are people that would advertise if you talked about pew-pews on your channel.
Right. Yeah.
There's money out there for that.
And for the most part, those people are sponsored by not YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's how they monetize their content.
That's how they get some of the money beyond YouTube.
Because you used to be able to monetize your YouTube views, right? And you still can.
You still can. You have to get a lot of views.
You have to get a lot of views. You have to have a lot of subscribers. But yeah, I think for the most part, most people that are still making good money are sponsored.
They have sponsors. They have the built-in ads.
Right.
So I have an interesting thing that I wanted to ask you if you've noticed this. So I watch primarily YouTube Shorts. That's where I get most of my short form content.
Yeah.
I watch YouTube a lot. I'm not on TikTok. I don't do Instagram. I watch
That's
Facebook
why you haven't
videos
accepted
a lot.
any of the Daves of Our Lives collaboration requests.
Oh, on Instagram?
On Instagram.
I got on Instagram to follow Lucy, but it's like third on my. I'll go. I'll accept those, Dave.
Okay.
Because I have a policy now.
Yes.
I want to make sure you know that I care about you.
Okay.
Anyway, so I get a lot of clips from movies or TV shows.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I think they're interesting.
Do you ever get those that you don't know what they are, and you like wonder why the description doesn't include the name of that movie or
I hate
TV
that.
show? Yeah.
On Facebook, they seem like they always do on their shorts, but on YouTube, they don't. You have to go in the comments, and there's always some joker that makes up some other name.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested. I look, I'm like, that actually looks like a pretty fun show. So I'll go Google it, and I look up what streaming service is it on. Now, I'm signed up on a couple streaming services, but invariably, every single time I find one that I like, it is not on a streaming service that I'm signed up for currently.
Oh, man. Okay.
So I have a theory. Does YouTube know that? And are they feeding me these shorts
content
to get me to then subscribe? Is there some sort of like algorithm that says, hey, we need to start showing Dave these shorts from Hulu? He's not subscribed to Hulu. HBO Max.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure.
Or have I, by my viewing preferences, made this filter happen naturally?
Do you click like? Do you click on interested?
I never click on like. So the question is, I'm looking at it going, oh, I'm really interested in that. And if I'm interested in it, then I go watch the movie. Or I go watch the show. The next time the short pops up, I skip
search.
it.
You go do a Google search for that show?
Well, I go to Google. So I'll give you an example. Queen's Gambit. It's a chess movie.
Yeah.
Anna
Anna Taylor-Joy. It's a series on Netflix.
It's a series on Netflix.
Yeah.
It popped up. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It popped up again. I'm like, oh, that kind of looked fun. So I went, I looked at it, I watched it. I don't get any more shorts for that because when they kept popping up, I just skipped them. I'm like, I'm watching the series already.
Yeah.
But there's one about the Tetris movie I think it's fun. I like video games. I lived
Yep.
in Russia. And that one keeps popping up, but I keep watching them because I haven't seen the movie. It's on Apple TV. And I don't want to sign up for Apple TV
Sure.
to watch the Tetris movie.
Yep.
So I can't tell. Is the way it's working, is it smart enough to know what services I'm signed up for and what I'm not signed up for? And so it is advertising to me through the shorts to try to get me to sign up for a service. Or is my behavior just reinforcing the fact that I don't have that, so I'm willing to watch the shorts?
There's got to be some kind of a feedback loop, right?
I think it's the latter. I just think it's just the fact that I watch the shorts because I don't have the service.
If you watch the short to completion,
it's going to give me another one.
It's got to feed you more content.
Correct.
Like that. Yeah, I don't know that. I mean,
But I'm not getting anything for streaming services that I'm signed up for.
Yeah,
I'm only getting showing shows and clips for movies that I don't have that service.
Now I don't know that I've noticed that. I do see those reels and shorts, and I am pretty. I'd say I'm pretty active at trying to train the algorithm
By hitting the like button?
Most of it's like not interested. So Instagram, for example, you can say that you're not interested in this content, and then you can block the entire account, or you can
do that, I think, with YouTube also.
right, or you say
don't block us.
Don't say please don't. Or you can say that you don't want certain like words in the description, right? You don't want specific words being fed to you.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm pretty active at that, just because there's content out there that I don't want to be exposed to.
Okay.
And then there's content that I legitimately just don't find interesting. And I think some of those I'm getting less interested in.
Fashion?
No, the clips from movies and TV shows.
Oh.
Cuz I'm like, if I'm going to watch it, I want to watch the whole thing. Like I don't want to be fed this content that someone has remixed and added music and different effects to with CapCut.
I don't want to watch that forever. Yeah. I'd rather go watch it.
Yeah.
But at this point, I probably have watched the whole Tetris movie.
But I guess my point is that I'm not interested in feeding views to someone that's just remixing somebody else's content.
You don't find that original. You value originality.
Yes, I do value originality.
What about the reaction videos?
What do you mean by reaction videos?
So somebody takes our video clipping here, and they put their little picture there in the corner,
and they start pointing at us.
They point, and then
say, "Listen to this. This is interesting stuff." Yeah, I don't like those.
Okay, what about the people that stitch? So they take like our content, and they're in the corner, so you know that they're listening, and then they pause, and then they react to
those.
The video.
I'm okay with. I think I'm okay with that.
What about the reaction to the reaction? What about like Inception level reaction?
So someone reacts to our video,
and then somebody reacts to that,
and then we react to that reaction.
No, that'd be like reaction, like infinity loop.
This is like loop.
You get like
our
podcast, then somebody reacts, and then somebody reacts to that reaction, and you'll see like a mirror, two mirrors facing each other, like cascading reaction videos.
So I think those can be fun. If they're done right.
If they're done right.
Like if somebody duets it. So
those ones, they're kind of poking fun at what's going on.
Yeah.
What about, there's a couple women on social media.
There are? A couple women? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Don't Google that. We're not fact checking
that.
We're
not fact checking that.
Neo-Nazi women.
There's at least one in
Brigham. We know who you are. There's a woman on there, and she talks about men and relationships, but she talks in a way that almost feels like she's more on the man side of things.
I've seen content like this.
I think Wendy's one of them.
She
has long hair. And I watch it, and then I go and I talk to my wife about it, because I'm like, is this woman feeding things to me to reinforce what makes me feel good versus telling me what I need to hear. And the need to hear one was this, and it was from a man, and he said he was jogging, and this woman ran in front of him, like turned the corner, and now she's jogging in front of him. It's later at night.
Okay.
And so he said, so I stopped and I like tied my shoe to like give distance. And then I turned
running the
somewhere
same
else.
direction?
They're running the same direction, but he didn't want it to look like he was following her.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think about this.
Yeah,
Because
we don't,
I'm
men.
not
We don't.
doing these things to women. I'm just like, dude, I'm on my run. There you are. Like, I'm a nice guy. Like, if I catch up to you, I'll be like, hey, hope you're having a good run. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a creep, but there are so many. Okay, maybe I am sometimes. I'm trying not to be a creep.
Let's fact check that, people. This is Dave a creep.
Okay, the creepy thing is I don't own this shirt. Dave, this is your shirt. I snuck in your
We
house.
just had to make sure that we could say Dave has other shirts.
Dave has other shirts, but it's this Dave, and I'm wearing his shirt.
I'm wearing the salmon shirt.
You're wearing
salmon button-up shirt this week.
The salamander. The
Salamander
shirt.
Oxalotl.
The axolotl one. So I heard that, and I was like, I needed to hear that. Because
you don't think about it.
I didn't think about it. And so
Yeah.
I went to my wife and I said, hey. And she goes, yeah. I don't think I just go walk out in the dark alleys. I'm like, I'm a man.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure it out. And my wife's like looking over her shoulder, like some guy gonna like do something or somebody gonna attack or rob or harass.
Yeah. Or worse, right? Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm becoming more aware of that. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about that, but as far as social media, here's what I roll my eyes because there are so many experts out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to sift through whether they're experts or not.
Do you ever fact check people? Do you look at a short and go read?
I do. I
Okay.
do. Yeah. And before I share it with somebody, that's typical what I'll do. And, you know, when I share it, typically it's a DM to my wife.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
But she'll send me stuff too. And then I fact check those just because I'm like, this person is being an expert. And so I'll either watch it all the way through and see if they're trying to sell something. And if they're trying to sell something, I pretty much always discount what they're saying. Right? Like supplements, for example.
Yeah.
All right.
I
There's
understand why.
this expert that's saying, you know, you shouldn't do this or that or this food, blah, 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 blah. You know what you should really take is this supplement, link in bio. And I'm like, not interested. Feed the algorithm, not interested.
Even if it is legitimately
Even
a
if
good
it's legitimate.
product,
If you're trying to sell me something, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to become an expert at anything. I don't want to get popular for being an expert, Dave. I want to be popular for not being an expert at anything. Except my job.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I do want people to know that I'm good at my job, but that I'm not going to talk about on social media.
So
That is not going to be my stick on social media. That's not going to be my niche.
have you ever shared information with your family and been fact-checked by your family member and found out that you were wrong?
I'm sure I have. Maybe not on social media, but
Not on social media, just like, but it's the same kind of concept. You're like, hey, I heard this, and I'm just repeating what I've heard.
yeah.
There were things, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
sure I
remember
have.
all of them, but Laura called me out on one of them, and she was like, I don't think that's true. I'm like, I don't know. I just heard it, right? You hear things. Like, for example, Mark Rober did a video on this, that iconic smell in a swimming pool.
Of the swimming pool?
It's not chlorine.
Yeah. So did you fact check that?
I mean, he showed the study of how he did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he wasn't just making the claim. He
Right.
walks through everything.
He goes
on
through
it, right?
every step and why.
And fellow engineer to engineer, I can respect that. And I go, holy crap, it's just a bunch of pee.
It's just a bunch of pee.
That's the reason it smells that way. I'm
Okay.
like, my mind is blown.
So you shared this with Laura.
So, no, it's just
Or you
stuff like
said-
that where
okay.
I'll say something and Laura will be like, actually, no.
Did she? Is this
She's corrected me.
okay?
And I've corrected her too.
Yeah.
But it's because somebody has said something on social media and they're like, actually, this is the real situation.
And this is why people get concerned with misinformation being shared, which is why I do our fact check recap, by the way. We don't want to be spreading
Sponsored by the
disinformation.
Googles. We can be bought.
Once you get behind the paywall and join the Patreon, you get exclusive content.
I enjoy the stuff that isn't clear cut and dry. I enjoy hearing both sides.
Okay.
And
do you like being able to do your own research?
I like being able to do my own research. So sometimes I try to go past the first page. Often I'll go past the first page on Google because I know, like, I'll read those.
First page. A lot of times, the first one's going to be ad.
The first one's you can see they're
be
definitely
Gemini.
ads.
Yeah.
And then these people are ads too. You just don't know they're ads.
Yeah, you got to scroll through some.
And sometimes I'll just type in like, hey, blah blah blah. I want the opposite viewpoint. Like, give me another perspective.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things are more complicated, or they have other sides to it.
I feel like not only Google is getting better at this, but I think other tools do a better job than a Google search. ChatGPT is probably the one example I would go to.
Ooh.
You do still need to verify the information.
Yeah.
But it does feed you a better response rather than just a bunch of links.
So Laura, there was a peacock that got, I don't know, somebody lost their pet peacock, and it was living with the turkeys.
Wait, what?
This was last year. There was a peacock living in Brigham City with the wild turkeys up in the hill.
I'm going to post on the Brigham City News and Info and ask about this.
Anybody missing a peacock?
Who's missing this peacock?
I don't know if I haven't seen the peacock lately, but Laura wondered. She's like, hey, ligers, lions, tigers, they can have offspring. Ligers.
Ligers? Have you been to Liger Town in Idaho?
No, I have not, but you can fact check.
Have.
They have them?
I have been to Liger Town.
They have like ligers there.
No, here's the thing.
Okay.
And I can give in this, there was...
Hold on, before you go down Liger Town, let me just finish this up. So she got on her phone. She asked Siri, hey, can a peacock
and a turkey
have a baby? And it's like, oh, yeah, it's a pea turkey, or I'm pretty sure it's pea turkey, not
pea
turkey. Cock.
Not a turcock?
Not a turcock. Anyway, and I'm like, wait a second. I pull it up, and it's the AI answer.
Okay.
It was entirely wrong.
Oh.
It's physically impossible. And she was so excited, and their dreams were dashed by that AI, at least. Anyway, Liger Town, go.
Definitely need to verify. We need to do our own research. We can't rely wholly on AI.
True. But where is AI getting their information from?
Right.
And so AI can be taught to be wrong.
Yeah. That's true.
I think AI is a really good tool to then start your research, because it will give supporting documentation and links and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, like, I read books and I see footnotes and I go look up other things. People do posts that I think are interesting. I'll go look for more information on it.
Right.
But not always. It's only if I get that spidey sense that
I'm not sure about this. I need to verify if this is true.
Like,
yeah. Like, so Liger Town.
Yes.
And you can fact check me if you want, but in Lava Hot Springs in Idaho,
okay,
there is a museum.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm remembering all the facts correctly, but here's what I will tell you of the facts that I do remember correctly. It was either in Lava Hot Springs or it was east of Lava Hot Springs where Liger Town was.
Okay.
But I think in the Lava Hot Springs Museum, there's an exhibit on Liger Town. This town was where they bred lions and tigers together, and I don't remember if they had male lions and female tigers, or vice versa.
You can make a liger, but you can also make, I think, a tie-on. You can do a tie-on and a liger.
Here's the thing,
depending on which one's the male and which one's the female. They cannot have their own. They cannot breed.
Right. They were only. It was one generation, and the offspring were sterile.
It's like mules, right?
Right. Yeah.
thing.
And they were larger than the parents. The ligers were larger than the lions and tigers. They were huge, man. So, real thing. Yeah, they were like a big striped lion. Sterile, of course, they couldn't reproduce, but the project died off because they can't reproduce anymore.
And what do you do at
So,
that point? It's
yeah.
just interesting.
Ligertown, Idaho.
Ligertown, Idaho. I'll put it on my bucket list.
Quite interesting. It's not there anymore, but I think we drove out to. I don't remember. I'd have to talk to Sheena. Fact check me, babe.
By the way, Sheena's the producer of this episode.
Yes, she gets
found
full
the
producer
charger
credits.
for us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think AI. Here's one argument I had on social media.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I shared some information after I had done the research,
Okay.
and someone commented on my post. They're like, "No, you're conflating the facts. This isn't true. That's not true." And I was like, "Where did you get your information? What's your resource? I know my sources. These are my sources."
Well, you might have the data, but how you choose to interpret the data, they might be arguing that. But you're just
Sure.
saying, look, how much have you put into this versus how much
Right.
have I?
Yeah. And their argument was, this is why, and this was a separate argument, but they were like, we can't trust people to do their own research. We can't trust people with this type of ability. I'm trying to.
Is it
articulate themselves.
was their perspective that you can't trust that people will interpret the data correctly?
Right. We can't
Because
trust people to correctly interpret the data.
I would agree that a lot of people will have a hard time, especially with complicated data sets, correctly interpreting the data, but also, like, I talked with a friend about this at work. You know, he's a chemist, and he's like, I can make any data do whatever I want, because they'll start throwing out outliers. They're gonna, scale the graph this way. Like, they're gonna they're not changing the data. They're just changing the story that the data tells.
Sure.
And I think that's something that we saw a lot of during COVID. There's a lot of people are looking at the same data sets, and they're coming up with different stories of what that data says.
Yeah. I guess my perspective is, like, there's ethics in data analytics.
There are ethics.
Right?
Yeah.
And there are ethical principles that you need to abide by. You need to be honest in the way you're interpreting the data. You need to be honest you need to account for all the variables that are in this research, and you need to do it honestly.
Hold on a second. Have you ever heard this stat? And I'm going to preface it that this is not, like, the data does not support this.
Okay.
But this was in my college course.
Okay.
The reason for the drop in crime is because of the legalization in abortions.
Oh, that's
so they looked at the data, and they're like, hey, we had a drop in crime here.
They said the reason for it is?
They said the reason that we had a drop in crime here is because abortion was legalized, and so people had abortions.
So there's a correlation.
They would have these babies, and they would probably end up being criminals because they didn't want them. And this is what's happening.
And here's what you're saying, right? You're saying if someone is saying this is the reason because the data shows a correlation.
The problem is that when the book published, a bunch of people dug into the data more.
Yeah.
And they called the author out on it.
Good.
And the author will not change
the story they tell.
And so I read it, and I was like, oh, holy crap. That's crazy. That's so interesting. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah. And
so the other one, another example I would say is if you live by power lines, you're more likely to get a certain type of illness. And so people are like, oh, the electromagnetic fields from power lines is causing this. But the problem
we
is,
don't
if
know
you're
that.
living by power lines, like heavy industrial power lines, you're probably poor. This is
Sure.
not premium real estate.
Right.
And that means you're probably living a really stressful life. You're not
Right.
eating well.
There are a lot of other factors that aren't being
So many
considered.
other factors that go
Right.
into it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, right? You need to account for all these variables, and if you're not telling a story honestly.
I think you need to say, hey, this is what we know, this is what we don't know. A lot of times in these studies, we know that it's pointing toward this, but it's not definitive. And some
Yeah.
of the studies are prohibitively expensive, I think, to get the information. And so people take that and they go, oh,
Yeah.
here's what's going on.
And
with
that's
this.
another thing people do is they don't trust that study because it was funded by X, Y, or Z, right? And so they think that because they funded this study, the
Therefore,
people
the
doing the
data's not
research
good.
are skewing the data to tell the story of this funder, the person that funded.
Well,
or
so
grant.
you've heard of like white papers, right?
Yeah.
So Veritasium did an article on no, I can't remember if it was Veritasium. I think it was Stuff You Should Know podcast.
Okay.
But they talked about it and they said one of the problems they're having is that like people will come up with these white papers and the data says this. One of the ones, for example, was like wine is good for your heart. There was a study on this. Now everybody's like, oh my gosh, I should drink wine. Well, now they've come back with the study and said, just joking, grape juice is actually better than the wine.
Sure.
So people will publish these things. They'll get a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then people will go and try to reproduce it. They'll do more studies. They'll dig into it and come to find out it's not true. Like, there's truth in it, but it's not entirely true.
Yeah.
And then they'll try to get that published and they will be blocked.
Because it refutes the previous
Yeah.
findings.
So there's politics involved in that world too.
That's true.
And
That's
and
true.
then you do have people churning papers out that are garbage.
Yeah.
They're flooding the system. There's geopolitics involved. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite phrases, I don't know who said this, but it's in God we trust, everybody else bring data.
I love that.
Okay. So there are things that are like a matter of faith, and there are things that I want the data and I want to sit there and look at it.
Yeah.
A lot of these things that are perpetuated on social media aren't true when you really look in the data. Another
Right.
one of this, like Veritasium talked about it, was he was like, I'm going to go buy an electric car because I want to save the world, right? And when you start running into the numbers, you have to drive that electric car, depending on where you're getting your energy source from.
Yeah. To get to net zero.
It's like 150,000 miles,
Yeah.
200,000 miles, 300,000
To
miles. It just
offset-
depends.
And that's to offset the carbon footprint of mining.
Manufacturing the
manufacturing the car.
right?
Mining for the rare earth metals for the batteries. Yeah.
There's a lot of carbon put into that
Yep.
step. And he said it would have been better for me just to fix my old car up and just keep running it.
Yeah.
Because the fact is that a lot of people are buying these cars and they're going to wreck them and they're going to get totaled before they hit carbon neutral,
Yep.
before they get that return on investment.
Yep. Yep.
They're going to turn the car in. It's going to go to the junkyard. They're going to sell it. The battery's going to deplete to the point that it's just not viable to keep driving. And so I'm not saying like electric cars are bad. I'm not saying
Right.
the renewables, any of that. I think I love technology.
I think recycling technology for those type of vehicles needs to, that's what needs to be ramped up, right? Battery recycling.
there's other things that probably need to be looked at, but I
think
don't
that's probably
like
the biggest.
recycling. And I have a friend in industry that there's a big market for that, like the recycling to reclaim the materials and stuff.
There are some companies that have claimed that they can reclaim up to 90 something % of the materials.
Of the raw materials.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would help with the carbon offset.
Yeah, and it would make replacing the batteries extremely cheap.
Depending on how accessible the batteries are, because they're building them in the unibody and stuff.
True.
But I just don't want somebody to go and buy an electric car thinking that they're doing XYZ and coming to find out it's not true because the information wasn't available, or people aren't just they're just spreading this story based off of this data that's not complete.
Yeah, let me get back to I guess the original concern is, do you think that the general population is able to um is able to at least do some preliminary research on the information that's out there? Now, let me phrase, okay, capable. Are they capable? And the second part of that question, are they willing?
Okay, so first of all, I don't think everybody's capable. Um, there's obviously outliers. Everybody has different intellectual abilities. Some of this information that I look at, it's over my head. I'm not a dumb dude, but I'm not as smart as some of these
Right.
people. I
Yeah.
read it and I'm like, whew, I don't understand what you're talking about. How am I supposed to verify this? You're like nuclear scientists doing fusion, crazy,
Right.
crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Are people willing to? I think it depends on if the fact supports the narrative that they have kind of going on for them.
Okay.
Because
So if
I'm
it's-
more likely to challenge the data if it doesn't fit what I already believe.
Okay.
Like if you said something to me, I'd be like, "Oh, that's not what I believe." So I'm gonna go look for the data that kind of counteracts that because I want to be comfortable with
Yeah.
my belief.
Rather than being objective about
Yeah.
it.
Truly, I do want to be challenged, and I want to understand where you're coming from on those things because I think it's helpful. But I want to understand the why.
Yeah. I think I would. I think I agree with you.
I don't think that most people are that curious.
I think I agree with you. And I don't know that it's, and I wouldn't even go so far as to say most people are lazy. I would say that most people are uninterested.
They're not curious.
Right. Yeah. And for me personally, I tend to do research on things that are going to impact my day to day.
Yeah.
Right. So if somebody shares something and I'm like, that's not really going to impact me, I'm not going to research that because it's, at the end of the day, what's the point in putting the time and effort into researching something that isn't going to change how many groceries I have on the table?
Well, this is where you and I probably differ. If it's interesting, even if it's not going to be applicable in my life, I'll research it.
Okay.
Just because I think it's interesting.
And
But I think that I
Yeah.
would prioritize the ones.
yeah,
that
I think
are-
that's
are
better
more
description.
applicable.
That's a better description, right? Is I prioritize what's going to apply to me, and then anything else that I'm interested in, that's the next priority.
Yeah.
All right. If it's not interesting to me, I don't care.
Like there's things like Laura, she loves like gardening and stuff. If
Yeah.
somebody makes some claim about like avocados, I'd be like, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, that is not true. Like, she knows that it ain't right.
Yeah.
It's an avocado.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This is my concern with social media is the youth and what. So I think you and I
Yeah.
grew up with it, and I think
Yeah.
it has affected us.
Here's
But
a good
I-
resource
I
that
think
I'll
it's
share.
crack for kids.
Have you read The Coddling of the American Mind?
No.
That is one you should definitely check out.
Okay.
The authors, they cover a wide range of topics in the book, but they do touch on social media and the social media generation, those that were teenagers around 2012.
Okay, when things really took off and you have your smartphones and stuff, right?
Yep, and they had unfettered, ungoverned access to social media,
I
and
don't
how they
think
are.
it's good for them.
So when they ended up in college and how that impacted things in college and radicalization and these type of things on both ends of the spectrum.
Well, I think there's radicalization like in ideals, but I think a lot of mental health issues.
And they touch on that too.
So my ex-wife, I remember she asked me to take her picture. This is very early on in Facebook and get it just right. She looks pretty, whatever. She really likes it. She posts it. And then she's constantly checking to see how many likes.
Yeah.
And then she's looking at her friend who posted their picture, and it was her birthday. and how many people wished her birthday, and oh my gosh, I only got 500 and this person got 1,000. I don't remember the exact number.
Sure.
But it's something like that. And, I don't really care. I'm like, I post things, people like it, they don't like it. I'm like, here you go. Like, I just throw it out there. If you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation. But a lot of it's just kind of one-sided, like we're just talking to each other, but not with each other.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is what's going on in my day.
I'm talking at you.
My daughter, we're on this like tracking device for our driving behavior.
Oh, okay.
And she wanted to see how fast, if she could run fast enough to make it think she drove. And she posted that on social media.
Awesome.
She did not run fast enough. And I said, well, you don't know if it was duration or speed. So here's a design of experiments. Let's incorporate the scooter to figure out what duration and what speed makes the app think it needs to go. And then we'll start your training regimen.
There's not like an OBD2 dongle that you plug into the OBD2 port, and then a Bluetooth to the phone. It's just, if you're in the car.
If I have an app on my phone now, and it tracks if I'm using my phone, if I harsh brake, if I am using my phone, is it hands-free?
So there's nothing plugged into the vehicle.
Nothing plugged in. And actually, they give me 10% off my insurance to track me.
Okay.
If my behavior is bad, my rates won't go higher. I'll still get a 1% discount at minimum if I'm willing to let them track me. And it gives feedback. It like says, hey, good job. You weren't on your phone at all, right?
Oh, wow.
So we had like a 14-day learning period, and me and Laura got perfect scores. But I did not use, I was like, I'm not going to use my phone at all. I was like, this thing tells me I'm being bad. I probably am being bad. Lucy got like a 66 out of 100.
Oh, no, Lucy.
We were telling Lucy she's a bad driver. She won't listen to us. Now she's mad at the app because the app's telling her she's a bad driver.
It's not her fault. It's the app's fault.
No, she realizes that she has some stuff to work on.
All right.
But anyway, I can get up to 30% off.
Ooh, that's a pretty good discount.
Dude, it's dollars.
That is, multiple.
It's with I think a lot of the
USAA?
auto insurance, but USA is the one that has that I'm doing it with.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's late. We started an hour late.
Gosh, jeez. It's way late. Okay. Next time, what are we gonna talk about next time on the Days of Our Lives? Are we gonna read through the Brigham City News and Info anonymous posts and comments?
So I think we should do that for a section.
Okay, we'll do a segment on that.
I'll look through it and find some that I think are fun. We can talk about that.
Okay. I touched on, kind of how Sheena and I started dating. Do we want to delve into dating and divorce and marriage? And
yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
It will not be the darkest days of our lives.
Not the darkest, but
just as a teaser, Dave and I have both been married, divorced and remarried to different women.
Yes.
For clarification.
We haven't married the...
I did not marry Dave's ex-wife.
You didn't marry my ex, and I didn't marry your ex.
Yes.
That's important.
We were married to separate women.
Important clarification there.
This is not polygamy.
Not yet.
Don't fact check us. There will be no polygamy in this podcast.
There will be no polygamy in this podcast. We guarantee that.
This is fun. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.